lot of you were disappointed this morning, or perhaps you were overjoyed that we got to say the whole long Tachnun today. And usually when it comes to a Yom Tov, the day after Yom Tov, we don't say Tachnun. And that is based on the sentence in Hallel, which is said, Isu Chag Bavosim Ad Karnos HaMizbeach, tie down the holiday a little bit longer, so we keep the holiday, the joy of the holiday, a little bit longer. But when it comes to Hanukkah, Nebuch, that's not what we take away after Hanukkah. So many people take away after Hanukkah, what? A couple of extra pounds, an aversion to latkes, a promise not to have them till next year. But there's also something else. There's actually a halacha in Shulchan Aruch describing leftovers from Hanukkah. And that is the oil, as we would call it, or the candles. What's the halacha? Hashem and shenisha bar menor la'achar Chanukah, the oil which is left over, chenapsilos, and the wicks, oslahen medura v'sarfan. You make a bonfire and burn them. Why? Mishum dehuktzel mitzvasan, because they have been dedicated for a mitzvah. And if so, v'osele hanos mehen, you can't have benefit from them unless you made a condition beforehand saying, whatever's left over, I'm not dedicating for the mitzvah. So therefore, in general, when you take, for example, oil and you pour it into the cups of the menorah, you are making that as for the mitzvah. So it remains as wholly dedicated, and you can't, let's say, throw it in the garbage, but really you burn it up. And the wicks, which are left over likewise, you should do the same thing. Where else do we have something like this left over that is burned? Chametz.
Yeah.
And the chametz is not really holy that we're burning it. There is another thing that we burn. Many have the custom at the time of burning the chametz.
Last year's leftover afikomen.
Last year's leftover afikomen, good. And also the lulav and esrog and hoshanas that were used for a mitzvah before are now burnt and used over again. There was a woman in Israel, Esther Schlissel, Aleha Shalom, who was the greatest tour guide. Shlomo Zalman Auerbach used to tell Yeshiva Bachrim, go with her, because her feeling of the city of Yerushalayim was unmatched by anyone. And she used to say when it came to the time of burning chametz, they didn't have sreifas chametz, they had meduras chametz. They had a bonfire. Why? Because she married a Holocaust survivor. And if there was a piece of bread, he would never throw it out. He couldn't, because a piece of bread is enough to live with. So any little tiny piece of bread was saved. And she was in Yerushalayim during the time of the siege of Jerusalem, growing up in the 30s and the 40s. Any little bit of bread was holy. You couldn't waste it, couldn't throw it away. So it came before Pesach. She opened up the freezer, and what came tumbling out? All the little tiny pieces of bread. And they burned it, and they had meduras chametz, as she used to say. She used to have the bonfire. Like Bomer, we'll hear some other time. A good day, gentlemen.